right, we are covering chapter 6, section 5, inequalities in one triangle. You guys have dealt with inequalities in algebra 1, so that's your greater than or less than symbol, so we're going to be using them for this lesson. Please don't get this confused with the next theorem. This is triangle longer side theorem. The next one's going to be longer or larger angle. Okay, so this one's dealing with the sides. Okay, this one's dealing with the longer side. So if one side of a triangle is longer than the other, then the angle opposite to the longer side is larger than the angle opposite to the shorter side. So this one's saying if they're giving you the side measures, then you should know which angle is larger or longer or shorter, which angle is larger or smaller, okay? So if I'm looking at this one, I know, what do I know? Looking at what they're giving me, I know that AB is greater than AC because they're giving me my measurements. The measurements are 12 is greater than 10. And because I know my sides, I can then go ahead and find my angles or which angles are larger. So when I'm looking at this one, this is my longer side, which makes this angle my larger angle. So I can go ahead and then write angle C is greater than, looking at the next one, this is my shorter side from what they're giving me, makes this angle the smaller angle. Okay, so then that makes this one, angle C is greater than angle B. So I'm looking at it as if these are my longer or larger sides or angles, and then these are my smaller or shorter angles or sides, depending on what they're giving me. So that's what you have to know for triangle longer side theorem. All right, looking at this next one, this one's triangle larger angle theorem. So it's saying if one angle of a triangle is larger than the other angle, then the side opposite to the larger angle, okay, now I'm looking at my sides, the side opposite to the larger angle is longer than the side opposite to the smaller angle. So same thing as before, except for this one, they're giving me my angle measure. So if I'm looking at my angle measure, I can state that the measure, let me use a pen, the measure of angle C is greater than the measure of angle A. How do I know? The measure of angle C is 60 degrees, which is greater than 30 degrees. And because I know my angles, keep in mind it's now the opposite side. So if this angle is 60, grab a highlighter, then that means this is the opposite side, which makes this, which is AB, is going to be greater than, looking at the other one, this is going to be my opposite side. So AB is greater than what was given, which is BC. Because of my angle measures, I can then figure out which one's larger and which one's smaller. So this is larger angle theorem. All right, triangle inequality theorem. The sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third. This one's pretty easy. So looking at the first example, it says BC plus AC, if I add these two together, it's going to be larger than the third side, which is AB. Looking at the next one, AB plus AC is going to be larger than the third side, which is BC. And then the last one, I have AB plus BC is larger than which side? Good, AC. Do you have any questions on these? Yes. No, you could switch them. So yeah, for this one I could put BA. For this one I could put CB. And for this one I could put CA. It doesn't matter the order. Example number 1, it says name the largest angle and the smallest angle. So largest angle and smallest angle. If I'm looking at this, remember we're looking at the sides. If AB is 10, which angle is also going to be the largest angle? Good, that's angle C. So when I'm looking at this, just showing you here's AB. It's my longest side, and that means the opposite angle is also going to be the largest angle, so this is angle C. Looking at the next one, what's my shortest side? AC. So if AC is my shortest side, what is my shortest angle? Good, it's the opposite, so that would be angle B. Looking at the next one, it says name the longest and shortest side. Longest and shortest. All right, looking at it, do I have all my angles? No, so I need to find what's missing. How would I find what's missing? Good, add my 2 angles. And then subtract from 180. Well, what I got? Good. I'm going to have 29 degrees right here. And now looking at it. Okay, remember we want to find the longest side first. So what's my largest angle? J, which is 105. And what's the opposite side? TI. So my answer would be TI. Keep in mind you can write it as IT or TI. All right, looking at the next one. What is my shortest or smallest angle? 29. So what would be my shortest side? Good, it's the opposite, which would be IJ. So when I'm looking at this, this is going to be IJ or JI. All right, looking at example number 2, it says complete with less than, equal to, or greater than, giving triangle ABC is a right triangle with a measure of angle C being 90 degrees. So I would draw this and then think about what we already know about right triangles. Here's my triangle, here's A, here's B, here's C. C is my right angle. Looking at my right angle, what do I know about these 2 angles, A and B? They're not necessarily equal to each other. If I add them together, they equal 90. So what do I know about angle A? It's what? It's an acute angle as well as angle B. So that means both of these have to be less than 90. That doesn't mean they're going to be equal. I don't know if they're equal. They didn't give me any of that information. So I already know A and B are going to be less than 90. And if they add together, they're going to equal a total of 90 degrees. So looking at A, the measure of angle C is blank to the measure of angle A. What would this one be? Good, it must be greater than. Looking at the next one, the measure of angle C is blank to the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B. Equal to, good. And then the last one, side AC is blank to AB. It's going to have to be less than. Why? Because if this is 90 degrees and this is my largest angle, this would be my longest side, making AB greater than AC, or you could say it as AC less than AB. All right, this is probably something that you will have to remember, okay? So looking at this, it says, the lengths of 2 sides of a triangle are 8 and 13. Then the length of the third must be greater than blank, but less than blank. So for this one, you have to remember the rule. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just draw it first. Here's my triangle. I have 8, I have 13, and I'm looking for what could be my measure of x. So you have to remember when you're finding the missing side, of a triangle. When you're trying to find that side length, you have to remember greater than the difference. What does difference mean? Good. Subtraction, and less than the sum. And sum means addition, to add. Okay, so that's kind of your rule for this. Okay, that's your rule for when you're finding the missing side measure, when you need to figure out what could that measurement be. So what do I mean by this? This means if I'm looking for something greater than, which is what we're trying to find, I have to find the difference. Keep in mind you could never have a negative side. Okay, so if you're subtracting 8 minus 13, yeah, it's going to give you a negative number. Depending on how you're writing it, if you're writing it as, I was writing it right the first time, 8 minus 13, you're going to get a negative number. You cannot have a negative side. So make sure when you're subtracting correctly. 13 minus 8 gives me what? 5. So the number of that third side length must be greater than 5. But then it has to be less than the sum. The sum said means to add. So I'm going to go ahead and add these. 8 plus 13, what would I get? 21. So the number for that side length has to be greater than 5, but less than 21. When you are writing it like this, you have to keep in mind 5 and 21 are not included. So it could be anywhere from 6 to 20. Those could also be a decimal. Okay, so just be aware of that. It has to be in between that range. All right, so now you can see that they're giving me all three measures. So when they gave me two measures, those are the only two numbers I used. They're giving me three measures. Most important thing when they're giving you three measures is you must use the two smallest numbers. If you're not using the two smallest numbers, you can get it wrong. So please be aware of that. You must use the two smallest numbers. We're still finding the sum and we're still finding the difference to figure out that range of numbers. So for example, when I'm looking at the first one, I'm going to take my two smallest numbers. What are my two smallest numbers here? So I'm going to go ahead and add 6 plus 8. What is that going to give me? 14. Okay, is 10 less than 14? Okay, so far it could work. Now let's see. What if I subtract 6 and 8? What would I get? I'm going to get 2. Is 10 in between 2 and 14? Yes, then this could be a possible triangle. Remember, we're trying to determine if it could make a possible triangle using the side lengths. So this one's good. This one could work. This could work as a triangle. Now looking at B, again, what are my two smallest numbers? 3 and 4, so I'm going to go ahead and add. 3 plus 4, if I add correctly, what would I get? 7. Remember, it has to be less than the sum. Is 8 less than 7? No, so this one could not work. However, if you're like, I'm unsure if this works, if you subtract these, you're going to get 1. Is 8 in between 7 and 1? No, so I really could have stopped just by adding. So this one's a no. This one couldn't work because I got that 7. Going to the next one, what are my two smallest numbers? 2.5 and 4.1. If you add it correctly, what would you get? Good, 6.6. And then is 5 less than 6.6? Yes, so let me go ahead and check if it is larger than the difference. So 4.1 minus 2.5, that's going to give me 1.6. Is 5 in between 6.6 and 1.6? Yes, then this one could work. Looking at the next one, what are my two smallest numbers? 4 and 2, so 4 plus 2, that's going to give me 6. Looking at it, could this one work? No. Why could it not work? It has to be less than 6. It cannot be 6. So this one's a no. Again, why? Because this is 6 and this is 6, so this one cannot work. It has to be less than. And looking at E, what's my two smallest? 5 and 6, so I'm going to go ahead and add 5 plus 6. That's going to give me 11. Is 6 less than 11? Yes, so let's go ahead and subtract. 6 plus 5. I'm going to get 1 is 6 in between that range. 1 and 11? Yeah, it is. So this one can work. Okay, do we have any questions on this? All right, you guys have homework. It's due tomorrow. The ones that you have to show work for are shown on Canvas.